Welcome back to round 2 at the High Speed Ring of Season 3 of the League. We are here for the Division 1 race. I am joined by my co-commentator and winner of our Division 2 race today, C. Orwick. Glad to have you on board.
Hey, thank you. It was an interesting race for sure.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about your race as we wait for our Division 1 drivers to qualify. So how was your race overall? Like, what was your mindset going in? What was your strategy?
Some of the Maelstrom boys and I We were planning on pitting together at least towards the beginning of the race, which we held to on accident. We didn't really talk about it much, but I was honestly just trying, especially at the beginning of the race, to just not wreck, and that got me through to the front where I just kind of tried to stay consistent.
Yeah, it's funny because at the first round, I think it was Dutra and I were talking about consistency is going to be the name of the game throughout this entire season, and I think that was what Lamb King actually showed in the first round, and I think what you showed in this round. So consistency, staying out of trouble, and making sure you don't have damage or you don't overwear your tires. Being smooth, I think all of that plays really well into doing well in Division 2 and Division 1, to be honest. But as I say that, we were getting ready to join our qualifying session for Division 1. Orwick, do you have any non-biased predictions about who's going to take pole position today?
I haven't been looking into their qualifying times at all, but if I had to keep it unbiased on these road courses, I can't really see drivers' names. There we go. Ryan Higgins, I feel like he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, along with Dutra.
Yeah, Dutra is always a contender for winning the race. Toasty has been our FTG champion since I think February this year. He's won every single FTGP. The FTGPs are monthly endurance race. It's a multi-class race. Typically it models real life endurance races, so like Nürburgring or like Le Mans. And Toasty has won every single one of those, save for the first one this year. Akon, also known as Lugi was joining me in the commentary for the Division 2 race. Lugi is also a very, very fast driver, so a lot of skill, a lot of competition, a lot of great drivers to compete with each other today.
Yeah, I mean, during the Sunday practice, there's a lot of events like this with Kip. Sorry, not Kip specifically, but the race was a lot more chill than I feel like everyone thought it would be, despite our numerous VSCs.
Yeah, and I think high speed ring in general is a little bit more safe in terms of racing. I think the nature of wheel-to-wheel racing at Daytona just makes it insanely hard to stay clean. I think it was Harm's Way I was talking to earlier in the week, how oval racing requires a lot more trust between drivers because you're next to them so consistently throughout the entire lap in Daytona. Whereas on road courses, you're typically behind the person, or the drivers are kind of single file in front of each other. And that makes it much easier to stay clean throughout the race. Whereas Daytona, you're kind of going full speed around all the turns, and even though you don't have to brake or turn that much, it's still way trickier to stay clean when you're millimeters, centimeters between the cars next to you, in front of you.
Oh, for sure. And Daytona as a track has its own mindset where, just being known mainly as a NASCAR track, you expect that close wheel-to-wheel racing, you expect there to be accidents, and that's not necessarily a mindset that happens on road courses like these all the time.
Yep. Willie there, seeing the sparks fly. I think it was Ryder and Harm's Way behind him through turn 2. And I think the sparks are flying from their cars, which suggests there's contact with the wall. But I think, and this track specifically, if you get close enough to the wall, on other people's systems, it may look like they're making contact with the wall. So even though that there's sparks flying, it's not like they're riding the wall, I don't think, in this specific scenario. So as we
sorry.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
We were talking about that in the Maelstrom chat, how from this POV or from even other drivers, it may look like you're sparking up. Even you could be inches, feet from the wall.
Yeah, and I think we'll see a lot of that today because these drivers are so skilled that they can maintain that distance from the wall very, very well and still be really, really close without touching the wall. So, I mean, Willie is an incredible driver as well. Stolz has been really, really great. I think he finished second or third, I think, in Division 1 of Season 2. Willie has always been a contender, a podium finisher for the FTGP multi-class races. And then Harm's Way as well. So Harm's Way was on a team with Stolz last season. And together they got second, I think, overall in the team championship.
Yeah, that's totally unbiased. That's an outcome that we're hoping for here at Maelstrom. Oh, pretty strong Division 1 race for round 1. Really strong for Division 2 round 1. Round 2 hasn't been the worst so far. We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, so we'll see if Ryder and Dyatlov can pull off another 1-2 from Maelstrom today. And in your totally not unbiased opinion, I think they have a chance to do that, but I think it would be very, very difficult for them today.
Yeah, like during the practice again, we had all 4 Maelstrom drivers, and I know for a fact that Ryder, he was definitely staying up towards the front of the pack for most of the race, practice.
Yeah, and Ryder also being part of the league since season 1, I think, or maybe he started season 2. I kind of lost track at this point. But Ryder, also an incredibly skilled driver, uses I don't know if he uses motion controls like Dutra does, but the only downside to that is that the controller users will go through a lot more tire wear than the drivers that are using a wheel. And the reason being is that with controller, it's harder to make more controlled and stable and more subtle movements as compared to a controller. So we'll keep an eye out on that as things unfold throughout the race. And at the moment, Willie stands in second place, and Stolz ended up taking pole position, or at least provisional pole position at the moment, by almost half a second. So whatever Stolz is doing on his qualifying setups, he's doing extremely well. Stolz ended up grabbing the pole position in Daytona as well. So Stolz doing a really good job with the qualifying so far this season.
Yeah, talking about tunes, in your brain, what are you think the drivers are looking for, especially for these qualifying times, to get the most speed out of their tunes and most time out of their tires on this track that eats up the right side?
I would say for qualifying, you don't have to worry about tire wear, right? So you can adjust the tire camber and the toe as aggressive as you need it to be to make the corners much faster. In the actual race, you want nearly zero toe angle. So for our viewers who are less savvy about cartoons, the toe angle of the car is essentially the direction in which the wheels are pointing when the car is pointing straight. So toe angle could be like the wheels are pointing outwards, or they could be pointing inwards. So the more aggressive those angles, right, the more wear your tire's gonna be going through on a lap. And that's important because in a race, you want to reduce the amount of tire wear through your laps because you don't want to be pitting every 2-3 laps. But when qualifying is happening, you can afford to do that. You can afford to go and pit every 2 laps if you wanted to, or even every hot lap. And so you can kind of adjust your tune so that for qualifying, you don't have to worry about tire wear. You can up the angles on your toe, on your camber, and even change your suspension settings so that you don't have to worry about the wear of balance between the front tires or the left tires or the rear tires. A lot of things you kind of just don't have to worry about when it comes to a race pace tune.
Yeah, there's definitely a big difference in what you'd want on either. I know Kaido and I'd given him my tune about 2 hours before our race, so pretty short notice, but he said he was enjoying it and he was a front runner for a while there, so I'm gonna take all the credit for that.
Nice. Yep. And tuning is I think what I like about tuning in LRC is that it's a very collaborative effort. And for those who are less savvy at tuning that are on the team, get a chance to learn from those who are more experienced. And in the end, that's what LRC is all about. It's about learning, about improving, and then also having just a community of people to support each other through this learning process. I know a lot of racing communities can be very, very competitive, very toxic, or super cutthroat. And we try to structure everything around LRC to be collaborative and supportive, and the opposite of what you'd see in most racing servers. And hopefully that's been your experience as a relatively new member, Orwick. I don't know, I can't speak to your experience, but I would hope that was the case.
I mean, yeah, everyone I've met has been kind. Uh, the racing has always been pretty close. I mean, my first ever win here in LRC was a karting race around the Nordschleife. I just didn't wreck. This is my second ever race in LRC, and that happened in the league. It was fun. It's a great community. Definitely going to stick around for a while.
The carts around the Nordschleife is a hilarious, hilarious event. So as we go back to looking at the results so far of our qualifying session, we're 10 minutes in, 11 minutes in, and a 15-minute session. So Stoles still has the provisional pole position. Willie is second by only half a second, or sorry, 2.2 seconds behind. And then check this out. So Toasty is only 0.004 of a second behind Willie's time. That's such a tight field. It's crazy.
I mean, we saw a decently close field during our Division 2. I think it actually was our qualifying, about, what was it, 2.5 seconds between first and last?
Yep. Yep. And we'll probably see something pretty similar here. We have, oh, it looks like, I think that might have been, can't see what that was.
That was DS Love.
Yeah, DS Love getting a little squirrely in the tunnel and potentially picking up damage. Dutra currently sitting in 7th place behind Harm's Way. And then we got Dinosaur sitting in 8th place. As I say that, he spins out at turn 3 and picks up damage on the front left tire. Honking his horn, or getting honked at. I think that's him honking.
Yeah, sure he loves having that on the replay.
Anthony Colazzo between Dinosaur and D-Slov. And he sits only 0.15 of a second behind Dinosaur, but 1/100th in front of D-Slov.
Ryan Higgins is kind of taken aback here. I know he was a menace on our ovals during the shootout and definitely at Daytona.
Yep. So maybe Ryan Higgins is still warming up. We still have 2 minutes left. 2 minutes and some change, because that's 2 minutes is when the qualifying session ends, but drivers are still allowed to finish their lap after they've crossed the line. Kip currently sitting in 13th and Beto in 14th. But check this out. So as we were talking, Zukos jumps to 3rd place out of nowhere in that Arizona Iced Tea livery, number 97.
Yeah, looking at Ryan and Kip, they're both the Toro Bravo drivers in Division 1, is that correct?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Sorry, Ryan Higgins and Kip, aren't they the two Division 1 drivers for Toro Bravo?
That is correct. Let me just double check that real quick. Yeah, Ryan Higgins and Kip are Toro Bravo Racing. Yep.
It'll be exciting to see how their races go compared to it's Kaido and Show Me, right? In Division
Yep.
2.
Yep. Kaido and Shomi. So Kip and Ryan having a little bit of a difficulty with their qualifying. Maybe, maybe they're on their race setup. Maybe they didn't spend much time on their qualifying setup. And here it's qualifying isn't as important as it is in most road racing tracks where track position is incredibly valuable. I think in all of our NASCAR races this season, it's going to be more important around getting your strategy right as opposed to the qualifying. So we will see if Kip and Ryan Higgins have something up their sleeve during the race and aren't really taking the qualifying too seriously or too worried about it.
Yeah, Toro Bravo this season, from my experience, they've been working together really well in their team chat. Um, knowing them, they probably have something up their sleeve. They've been working together really well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I have like a secret eye into all of the team chats. Funny enough, because I had to create the private chats in the first place. So I go at the beginning of the season, I add everyone to the private chats, create the team threads, and it's funny being able to see everyone's like communication and how seriously they take it or how much time they invest into their setups or practice. And it's really cool to see like every team puts a lot of time into their tunes and their practices and communicating with each other. And it's really cool to see the team leads as well spend time with the Division 2 race drivers or even the other Division 1 driver to get them up to speed. So it's really insightful to see like how each team goes about formulating their strategy or their tune and then kind of keeping secrets from each other. It's really cool to see. And then with that too, like end up with the same strategy on race day. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, every team's going to end up doing it differently. Especially this track, we're going to see those differences. I'm excited to see how it turns out. I know Toro Bravos needs a bit of a pick-me-up. I didn't see the rest of the standings when it comes to teams, but it's going to be a big race for everyone, really.
Yeah, so currently, we can kind of go over this before the race starts. Actually, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that before the race starts. So right now, the qualifying session is done. We have 17 minutes on the clock. Everyone's finished their qualifying laps, and we're now just waiting for the timer to run out, the 3-minute post-qualifying timer. So Willie actually comes out with the pole position, takes it from Stoles in the last lap. Stoles has to settle with second. Zukost in third place, and Toasty with a great qualifying session there in fourth place. Arms, Ryder, Akon, Dutra, and Dieslove finish out the top 10. And then we can take a look at the rest of the results here. Dinosaur rounding out the top 10. We have Anthony Colazzo starting at 11th. Ryan Higgins and Kip, the two Toro Bravo drivers we were just referring to earlier, 12 and 13th. And then Beto bringing up the rear with the 14th position. In terms of team standings, let me pull up the spreadsheet here for the stream. So D-Slove currently sits in number 1 for Maelstrom Motorsports after winning last week's race. Stoles finished in 2nd with 22 points, Dutra in 3rd, Beto 4th, and his teammate Willie in 5th, Kip in 6th, Harm's Way in 7th, Dinosaur and Toasty, the Chama Racing drivers, in 8th and 9th, Ryder in 10th, Nixon, Palazzo, Zukost, and Ryan Higgins finishing up the bottom 3rd. So for the Division 1 team standings, we have Team.com in first place with 34 points. Maelstrom Motorsports only 3 points behind Team.com, sitting at 31 points. We have Invictus and Whisker Warriors Performance Racing tied for 3rd place with 25 points. Then Chama Racing in 5th with 18. Toro Bravo Racing only 1 point behind with 17. And then Diddley Squat Racing in 7th with only 1 point behind Toro Bravo Racing with 16 points. So
This
pretty...
final 3 are really close together.
Yeah, super close. And even the first 2, so like Team.com with 34 points, Maelstrom Motorsports with 31. 3 points in this league with, 25 points going to the winner, has huge swings. So anything can happen at this point in this early on in the season. All right, so we got a 3-minute warning from Dinosaur, our race organizer. So we will be starting the race quite shortly. We're waiting on the confirmation from our drivers that they're ready, and then we'll get started.
These first couple laps, I feel like they might go a little bit like the Division 2 race. Kind of have to get into that rhythm out of turn 2 before they'll start avoiding those VSEs.
Yeah, so turn 2 is really chaotic, considering you're going full speed with everyone at the same time. But even in the Division 2 race, I think it was the first lap, or even the first 2 laps, it was actually very, very clean through turn 2. It was maybe only 1 or 2 people at the exit would get spun out, or there'd be like a mistake. But for the most part, I think it was relatively clean. We'll see if that's the case with Division 1. Our Division 1 drivers are a little bit more cutthroat, a little bit more willing to take on more risk going into the corners. So perhaps we might get more safety cars in the opening laps of the race. I hope it won't be a repeat of last week.
Yeah, the last week Division 1 race was a show to behold.
Yeah, it almost put Loogie to sleep, and then he had to jump off because it was, I think, 5 a.m. in the morning at that time for him. But he is currently racing now, so hopefully 5 a.m. he's got coffee, he's got some caffeine to keep him up. So he's currently sitting in 7th. All right, so we got all the confirmation from our drivers that they're all ready, and we will be joining them very shortly. So similar to Division 2, we'll be starting this race off with a rolling start, and Willie will be taking us through the green flag here in the Reese's Pieces car. And funny enough, Stoles in the other Reese's Pieces car starts in 2nd. So Reese's Pieces representing quite well in the Division 1 race. So there goes the lights. We're full green and we're ready to race. Willie starts off really well, but Stoles doesn't get as good of a start. Kind of gets caught up by Zukos, who passes him on the inside of turn 1. Yep, and Toasty now is behind both of them. So it looks like Stoles and Zukos, I was going to say they were going to be side by side, but Zukos firmly takes position 2. Oh, and I think it was Harm's Way, or someone got just absolutely destroyed there into turn 2. Let's see here who that was. Yeah, it was Harm's Way. Unfortunately, picked up lots of damage. And I think we will be entering the virtual safety car procedures.
This looks like a little bit what we were getting into with Division 2, where it's a cycle until it gets broken when people start spreading out, and it's going to be a little bit harder to really get into bigger wrecks.
Yeah, unfortunately I didn't catch the full replay there for turn 2, but we will be restarting here shortly. So I think Harm's Way and maybe someone else picked up damage, or maybe no one else did. So Harm's Way was the only person who picked up damage there. Luckily, he will get a chance to join the pack after he fixes the damage on his car, and then we'll get started again. Yeah, Alan, that's a good question. Should it be a restart? I suppose it should be based off of the last season's rules, but I think for us, maybe we're not doing restarts this season. We'd have to ask Dinosaur on the official guidelines there. Yeah, I think this season we're just running VSC and then double file restart on the front straight. So
Looks like this
Zukos
is the
there.
restart lap.
Yeah, so Zukos there, eager to get going, pulling up alongside Willie, trying to keep those tires warm. This will give Stoles a chance to retake that second position on the restart. And hopefully Toasty, I think Toasty's probably just trying to keep his car out of trouble, making sure he doesn't get into any accidents or incidents. A lot of honking going on. So now we're off.
Doesn't look
Willie's.
like anyone.
Yeah, so Willie takes off, and we're back on the green flag. Zukos maintains the second position in front of Stoles. And I believe Ryder is able to take the inside on Toasty to take that fourth position.
That light show is beautiful.
And there they go through turn 2, and oh, sorry, getting caught up on my broadcasting issues. Okay, so turn 2, it looks like everyone has gotten through cleanly. Zukos maintained the second position, Stoles in third place. And then we got Ryder in fourth, and I think Toasty had dropped back quite a bit. So Toasty was in fourth place on the restart and now sits in 8th place. Oh no, it looks like someone else has gotten into the wall. I think Beto, I don't know if Beto had contact or had just lost the car in that moment. Let's check the replay there. Oh yeah, I don't know. It might have been a bump that made him lose control. That'll be something the stewards will have to review after the race. And
Yeah,
we're back.
Beautiful.
Well, we're back with another VSC. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh no, I just mistime everything. With that beautiful bluey car, my girlfriend's gonna be upset.
So this time around, looks like Luigi and Anthony Colazzo, or sorry, I keep saying Luigi, but I should say Khan, also ended up taking a pit stop. So they must have gotten into some type of incident further up around turn 6, the long left-hander at the end of the track. And we'll wait for them to catch up to the pack to do another restart. Beto representing the I think it's that cartoon Bluey. That's what the car is. I was like trying to figure out what that logo was.
Australian goodness.
Okay, so we'll be taking this through, I think, one more lap under safety car. Lamb King, you said your right front was gone by lap 5. Right rear lap 7, front lap around, or front left around lap 9 or 10. Yeah, Lamb King, you had a solid race there. I thought at a certain point you were gonna finish in the top 5. It was really hard to tell the net positions based off of strategy at any point in time.
Seems like an interesting front couple. 2 Reese's Pieces and an Arizona tea. Sounds like a great snack.
It's funny because the first round we were talking about what makes Reese's Pieces so popular. I don't think I've ever seen anyone like represent candy bars as intensely as people who like Reese's Pieces. All right, so Willie's gonna take us with a restart, and we're go under the green flag. So Zukos actually gets a slow start. Or no, looks like we are not going through a restart. Looks like we might be taking another lap under the safety car. Looks like something occurred further down the pack. Let's take a look.
Ollie, hope you're not jinxing it in the chat. I don't want no penalties tonight.
Yeah, Ollie Bolly, you might get your chance. We'll see. Anything can happen with incidents and penalties applied at LRC. So for those who are unfamiliar with our league, the stewards are very, very harsh when it comes to incident penalties. Oftentimes, an incident will result in anywhere between 2 to 5, maybe sometimes 8 position penalties applied at the end of the race, depending on how egregious the offense was.
As far as I'm thinking, the only time I ever did anything too egregious was me hitting, forgot who it was, into the wall. Neither of us got damaged, but people behind us piled up.
Yeah.
At least I gave him his position back though. So I
So
can hope.
So Flyindex says the love of Reese's Pieces started with the movie E.T. for me. Could you elaborate, please? I think the most that we've seen in terms of position penalties ever was round 1, I think, of the league season 1. And I think it was Jay Silva ended up with something like a 15 position penalty or something like that. Just because of the nature of his incident, he like crashed into a bunch of people going to the corner. And then, yeah, it just accumulated the points because the more people you involved in your accident, like the more the positions rack up in terms of a penalty. Yeah, it was really, really bad. Lamb King says he killed everyone. Oh, okay. So Alan says that the main character lures out ET with Reese's Pieces. Okay, interesting.
Looks like they're going for the restart this lap.
All right, so our pack lines up in our double file restart. And this time I think we are ready to go. So Willie leads us into our green flag once more and gets a pretty good start. Zukust stays with them ever so, actually no, he loses out of position against Stolz, who takes the inside and drops back quite a bit. Looks like Dutra is now third place. And then Toasty's actually got the inside of Zukust. So coming into the turn two, it's kind of hard to see with all the lights, but Toasty maintains its fifth position. Let's see if we all can get through cleanly. I think we do. Stolz now into second place. We got a Reese's Pieces 1-2. And Dutra picks up that the third position. So pretty big gain there by Dutra. I think he was fifth on the restart or sixth.
Yeah, he's flying up there, leaving Arizona in the dust.
So at this point, we got 8 laps, mostly under virtual safety car. I think the race is finally starting to get underway. Everyone still with the same amount of tire wear and fuel. I believe some of them have slightly more fuel due to an extra pit stop.
DS Love got into the wall there.
No.
Pretty happy.
I think we might be getting another safety car. Nope, I think we're still good. Someone ended up into the wall. I think it was okay, so it was Dinosaur. He's got engine damage from how severe that accident was. Let's take a look at the replay to see what happened there. It looks like there was a little bit of a build-up, and then... Oh, no, I think Dinosaur panicked just a little bit because he was coming up on someone there at the exit of turn 2.
Okay, he's trying to avoid DS Love after he slid up and slowed down.
Yep. So the race continues. Unfortunately, Dinosaur has to pit. And there won't be a VSC this time around, but maybe later Dinosaur might have an opportunity to catch up through another VSC later in the race. So Willie maintains the lead. Stolz very close behind. Dutra in third place. Zukust in fourth. Toasty in fifth. We got Ryder in sixth place. Khan right there making the overtake. We're going side by side with Ryder through the front straight into turn 2. Khan will have the inside, and it makes the overtake, but Ryder is not finished. Ryder wants that place back and takes the inside on the exit. They make contact at the exit of turn 1, and will they make contact in turn 2? No, they keep it civil, it looks like, through turn 2, and Khan comes out on top, taking that 6th place position.
Compared to our Division 2 race, they're definitely keeping in a pack much longer than we ended up being together, and it's definitely going to allow for a couple more risky moments.
Yeah.
As you mentioned earlier, they are going to fight a little bit more than we would. They're going to definitely make moves that Division 2 drivers might deem a little too risky.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky with making risky moves, especially in a turn 2. I think I mentioned this during the Division 2 race. Is you actually don't want to be making a pass into turn 2 or through turn 2 because you'll lose way too much time relative to the cars behind. So you typically want to make the pass on the front straight or through turn 1 so that you can be in front of the car into turn 2. And if you go side by side into turn 2 with a car, there's a much more likelihood of an incident, or you'll end up just having to scrub a lot of speed because you have to stick to the inside if you're going side by side with someone.
Yeah, out of turn 2 in turn 6 though, if you do get a good run, it is very possible to slingshot, if you will, Ricky Bobby, right past any drivers that might not have gotten as good of an exit as you.
And speaking of slingshot, Stoll's slingshots right across Willie through the inside of turn 1 and makes it stick through turn 2. And I was just talking about this. Stolz makes the pass into turn 1 so that they don't lose time to Dutra and anyone else behind the pack. So Dutra right now getting attacked by Zukost at the moment. Dutra's front right tire is completely depleted. Zukost is almost there as well, so Dutra's struggling, but Zukost is not that much better in terms of tire wear. And then Lugi as well. Lugi is about the same as Zukost. But it's crazy if you look at Stolz and Willie. So Stolz actually has the best tire wear out of all of them. Willie, I think, just dove into the pits. So kind of crazy. Stolz is able to maintain his tires and manage the tires extremely well while still being out front and being incredibly fast. So props to Stolz for this race so far. So Zukost gets around Dutra into turn 2. Looks like he made the pass potentially around turn 1, but Dutra looking to make the repass on the outside of turn 3 and makes it stick. Oh my god, great move by Dutra there. Taking the outside line and cutting across into turn 4 on the inside.
Stolz looks like he might be pulling ahead a little bit compared to Dutra and Toasty.
Yeah, Stolz is on an insane pace right now with insane tire management. He's looking like Max Verstappen right now of LRC. Dutra, though, falling a little back towards Toasty Toasty making his way up through the pack. So Toasty was behind Zukost and Dutra at one point, and I think was also behind Ryder at one point. So Ryder and Zukost right now fighting for that fourth position through turns 3 and 4. Ryder making the pass on Zukost on the exit. Zukost losing a lot of time due to those completely worn tires, and then Harm's Way looking to make the pass as well, so makes the pass on the inside. But I think he will make a dive into the pits now. Yep. So Dutra stays out, Ryder stays out, Stoles makes a pit, Toasty, Harm's Way, and Zukost and Kip all take a pit stop.
Ryder's tires definitely are almost completely dead. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes into pit here this lap.
I feel like every time we bring up Reese's Pieces, we somehow summon Magic Oreo dust into chat. Yep, Stoles took a pit stop. Okay, so for those who do like Reese's Pieces peanut butter cups, what other candy bars do you guys like? Do you guys like other candy bars, or is it just Reese's? It's like, that's it. There's nothing else that compares. All right, so Dutra and Ryder take a pit stop, and Willie ended up taking a pit stop earlier than Stoles, and ended up out in front of Stoles after both of them have taken their pit stop, almost 3 seconds ahead. So the undercut works really well here. But the question is Willie going to take an extra pit stop throughout the entire race? And we'll have to keep making these gains on every stint. So he's made about 3 seconds, maybe 4 seconds on Stoles from pitting a lap earlier. And if they make a total of, let's say, 9 pit stops this whole race, that's equivalent to what, 27 seconds? So I think the strategies here might be really, really close if Willie, for example, takes 9 and Stoles takes 8 pit stops. But again, we'll see as these strategies play out towards the middle and end of the race.
Yeah, the strategies in Division 2 definitely differed a lot more than what we're seeing here in Division 1. Division 2, our drivers, it's a little bit more every man for himself, as in we pit when we need to pit, and it's interesting seeing how most of our Division 1 drivers are kind of pitting together, trying to not lose their positions as much.
It seems I may have stirred some arguments in chat by asking about candy bars. Alan says Snickers is OP. Close chat. We got Butterfingers in representing. Magic Oreo says Snickers are whack. No offense. Payday or Mounds? I haven't heard of Payday in a really long time.
I'm gonna have to side with Snickers here.
Oh man, I think I might go with Ollie. I think Twix might be up there for me. Twix is probably like A tier, maybe even S tier.
Can't really beat Hershey Kisses though. Just the perfect amount of chocolate, not overwhelming with the texture, not too sweet, enough to just plop them in and then just wait for them to melt.
I foresee that the liveries will slowly start morphing into just candy bar liveries in the race, and then that becomes the way we settle who has the best candy bar. So Dutra makes his way up to 7th place, makes the pass on Harm's Way. Anthony Colazzo. Dutra taking a pit stop, I think it was lap 10, lap 8, or like 8, 9, or 10, can't remember. But let's see here. So Harm's Way ended up making it up a jump to 6th place. And then Lukey, out of all people, ended up 3rd after the first round of pit stops. And I don't think Lukey has actually made a pit stop yet. Or he must have. He must have made a pit stop. So we're lap 20 right now. Willie has made his 2nd pit stop. Okay, yeah. So Willie, looks like Willie is going to go every 9 or 10 laps. And Stoles will end up being slightly behind him by pitting one lap behind him.
It looks like, is that Dino maybe a lap down?
Yeah, I think Dino, after that incident that he had in turn 2 and ended up damaging his engine, ended up almost a whole lap behind because he had to go pit and fix the engine. That takes a really long time. Okay, so further down the grid, we got Anthony Collazo in 7th place, currently being chased by Ryder, who's got a little bit better tire wear on that front right. Got some exit speed. Will probably make the pass through turn 1. Collazo sticks to the outside and doesn't let Ryder through. Is side by side with Ryder into turn 2. Makes Ryder work for it. Ryder's wheels, he gets understeer and hits the exit barrier. And Collazo sticks with Ryder into turn 3 on the outside, but Ryder is able to defend the position and take that 5th place from Anthony Collazo. But meanwhile, they were battling. Higgins was allowed to catch up quite a bit. And I was like saying earlier, when you fight into turn 2, you lose so much time that it just makes it so much worse for you in terms of your overall race pace. So you gotta pick and choose when you want to make that battle.
Yeah, chances are, as in what I was seeing in Division 2 at least, if you really can't make anything stick out of turn 1, you really aren't going to see anything until either the front stretch again, or maybe the S's if you're lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, if your opponent, you kind of, at that point, you have to kind of wait till your opponent makes a mistake, like out of turn 2 or in the S's, to give you an opportunity to pass. And I think that's the tricky thing about this track, is that track position here is actually a little bit more important than you might think. Like, you think you can make a pass pretty easily anywhere on track because everything is high speed, but at the end of the day, it's actually really hard to make a pass from turn 2 till turn 6. So again, as I referred to in the first race, strategy plays a huge part of this, because if you get stuck behind someone, it's just going to absolutely kill your race. And everyone's on different strategies. Everyone has different tire wear. So if you end up behind someone with really bad tire wear and you can't make the pass until turn 6, you'll end up losing maybe a second or two just on one lap alone.
Looks like the top 3 ended up in the pits altogether. They're slowly coming out of that.
So Stoll's coming out of the pits, is now net 3rd. Khan will likely... so Khan's actually got a pretty good strategy going on. He's now 2nd place. Doesn't have much fuel left in the tank, though. Will probably have to refuel quite a bit once he takes his next pit stop. But Willie also kind of similar in terms of fuel with Khan, about less than a quarter. So if you take a look, Khan and Willie are kind of on a similar strategy. And it looks like Stoles is almost like on an alternate strategy, but not too far behind them. So it's interesting because the amount of fuel that Stolz has on board is equivalent to about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 seconds in the pit lane. So that's how much time he's behind Willie. So they're kind of like neck and neck here for the overall race pace. It's going to be really interesting to see this come down at the end if none of them make a huge mistake or if nothing unfortunate happens in their strategies. So the tire wear is 12x, and then fuel I think is 6.
What we were seeing a lot in Division 2 was drivers more so pitting on tires than we were on fuel. It was looking roughly fuel every other pit stop compared to our tires, and tires were definitely the limiting factor like they were at Daytona too. We really weren't too concerned with fuel. And yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think Dinosaur designed the league to be that way, where tires were going to be more of the limiting factor, but not like a situation where you can take full advantage of tire management to essentially make or break your race. Here it's kind of like the tire wear is so high that like you have to choose between like going all out or just managing a little bit. Like you can't really manage a ton on these tracks. Like if you manage too much, you just simply lose out on pace, and it doesn't make it worth saving your tires for maybe a 2-second additional 2 seconds added to your lap time. And at that pace, you're just simply too slow. So you have to kind of push to some extent your tires here. In some leagues, I think it was season 1 of the league, the tire settings made it way more beneficial for you to save fuel and tire to gain time in the pits, and that's where most of the battles were won in season 1, is just through how much time you would spend in the pit lane changing your tires or refueling your car. So Beto and Willie in a little bit of a battle. Willie on fresh tires, making the pass on Beto, who's still out on old tires. And it looks like Khan also slapped with a penalty there, having to serve it through the tunnel, was right behind Willie, but now has Anthony Colazzo pass him through turn 6. So Luigi there Khan losing out on a ton of time to Willie, who he's currently racing against. I believe Khan was almost a net second place before serving that penalty.
Stolz has kind of gotten away and ran with it here a little bit. Almost 4 seconds ahead of harm's way. Looks like about 5 ahead of Dutra.
Yeah, and Stolz still has a decent amount of tires, rubber on those tires, and a quarter tank of gas. So again, Stolz's race is really against Willie at the moment and Khan. And Khan and Willie are on the same strategy. They're pitting on the same laps. And Stolz is kind of taking a longer stint approach, managing his tires a little bit more, and will likely have to take one less pit stop compared to Willie and Khan. So the pit stops here are pretty quick, but at the same time, the pit stop doesn't it's like on a really fast straight, so you end up losing quite a bit of time when you go into the pits. It'll be really interesting to see if either of these strategies end up on top. But like, with anything at the league, everything's really close at the end. Like all these drivers spend a ton of time researching and developing their strategy to get it, to be optimal. I'm sure Stoles has checked both like an 8-stop and 9-stop and 10-stop strategies and kind of optimized it to get the best time out of all three.
And that is a great amount of dedication that we've seen in a lot of our drivers these past 2 races. Division 2 doesn't look like it, but from what I've heard, we've spent a good amount of the time researching our strategies. Division 1 especially. Come to a much more wide-seen consensus.
Yeah, and it's definitely a team effort. Like Stoles and a lot of the team leaders will dedicate the time to finding out what is the fastest strategy for them, but then also based on their teammates' driving styles, what could potentially be the best strategy for them as well. And driving style, as well as controller or wheel, have so much to do with strategy here, because it kind of determines how you drive, how much you wear your tires, how much fuel you'll spend. It's a huge consideration for coming up with your strategy and how effective it will be for your driving style.
I know in the Maelstrom chat we had a heated discussion, I guess, at what would be seen as the best per driver.
Mm-hmm.
We all had our slight differences, but for the most part, we were thinking sub 10 laps for tires, then the next pit for fuel, and that I feel like that held strong for a lot of the drivers, not just for Maelstrom.
Mm-hmm. So Khan makes a pass on Stoles, but Khan also still needs to make a pit stop. Stoles should be able to come back and make the pass on Khan relatively easy with fresh tires. But we'll still have to make the pass nonetheless, unless if Khan makes the pit stop this lap, which I think he likely will. He's run out of fuel, yep. So we got our top 3 in contention with each other. Khan kind of slowly dropping out of that top 3. So Zoocoast currently being sit in 4th place at the moment, only 6 seconds behind Khan. Will overtake Khan sitting in the pit lane, and Dutra as well. So Dutra is only 1.4 seconds behind Zoocoast, and Harmsway also in the fight for potentially a top 3, only half a second behind Dutra.
Seems like a lot of our drivers now have spread out, covering about the entire track at this point. I'm sure in the driver chat right now, there's a couple people hoping for VSC, trying to bring it all back together.
Yeah, imagine how crazy it would get if we had like a VSC in like the last like 10 laps of the race. So it'd be interesting, because if we have a VSC now, I think a lot of drivers might opt to not take the VSC because they already have pitted fairly recently. But in the case where a VSC happens, let's say like on lap 40, for example, I think everyone will want to pit and take the car to the end. And we'll have essentially what is a straight shootout to the end of the race, with everyone on the same amount of fuel and tires. And then from there, it just becomes like a straight up battle between saving your tires and fuel and whatnot to make it to the end.
Yeah, we definitely saw a bit of that in the round 1 race at Daytona.
Yep. So Harm's Way getting caught up actually by Zukost, who decides to take a pit stop. So Willie dove into the pits just a moment before. And let's see, Toasty comes out of the pits. No, it wasn't Toasty. Someone came out of the pits, or was it Toasty just on the inside of the front straight there when Harm's Way passed by? Kind of tough to tell. And let's see here, Zukost comes out of the pits now. Beto makes a pass and is also coming up behind Anthony Colazzo.
Yeah, in races like these, Lamb King, there's never not someone at least hoping for something to happen to cause a VSC.
It's funny, you guys in chat, like you don't want the VSC when it's early in the race, but you guys want it in the end of the race, which fair, you know, I think it's okay to want that, but it's funny because last week I don't think anyone was wishing for a VSC at all at any point in the race because we were just getting way too many of them.
Yeah, sitting in chat for the Division 1 race last week. Can't say that everyone was most excited. I know that Luigi, or Khan in this case, the only thing that was keeping me going with him at that point, because I know he was tired, everyone was tired, but he even lost his will to do his boogity boogities on restarts.
Oh, so Lamb King says, oh no, last week I was praying for no VSC. Let's see. Yeah, we need KG to come and do a rain dance for us. So surprisingly, it does rain here, which I didn't realize. And I don't know if Dinosaur has the settings on here to be able to rain. If he has it set on random, then it's definitely allowed to rain. But judging based off of what the sky looks like, I don't think rain will be a possibility anytime soon.
Doles is looking very speedy. He's carrying crazy speed through those S's too.
I need to figure out how to do a poll in chat so I can do like a candy bar poll and see which ones are most popular. Yeah, so both the Reese's Pieces cars, they're doing really well. Stoles on this alternate strategy looks like it's going to play out pretty well. But Stoles right now looks like he's sitting at, I think, 20 seconds in front of Willie. Still needing to make a pit stop. Likely to make probably one more pit stop till the end of the race, so Willie might take it to lap. Sorry, Stoles might take it to lap. Or no, he won't be able to make it to lap 40 with that gas. I think he's gonna have to pit probably around lap 38. And I think from that point on, he might have to make an additional pit stop, but a shorter one, albeit. And Willie as well will have to make a pit stop, but he is a full 20 seconds behind. Okay, so Stoles, yeah, so Stoles dives into the pits. Future stays out.
Looks like he's only going to be able to make it through this lap with fuel and tires.
So Willie comes across the front straight And we'll see where Stolz comes out in relation to Willie right now. He's coming out of the pits right now, and Stolz does not stay in front of Willie. Willie makes his way past Stolz, and Harm's Way as well. Oh no, sorry, that's not Harm's Way. That is someone else. I think that might be Dinosaur. Unlaps himself from Stolz. So now Stolz a good 6 seconds behind Willie. And we got Toasty and Ryder right now fighting for that 6th position. Toasty ahead of Ryder. Ryder not electing to go side by side through turn 2 and battle for that position.
Dutra making it in with barely any fuel left in his tank.
Yeah, Dutra plays it risky. Dutra always lives on the edge. Okay, so here's where we're at. So Willie has a 5.5 second lead over Stolz. Willie has to take another pit stop. And I think Stolz will likely have to make another pit stop potentially. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it 12 laps on one set of mediums. So if they both have to make a pit stop, Stolz might be at an advantage here because he has a fuel advantage. So he'll have to fuel less than Willie does. And I think that's the only advantage that he has. And I don't know if it's going to be 5 seconds worth of fuel since the refuel speed is like... Oh no, looks like we got an incident there. I think that was
DS Love getting loose in turn 6.
Yeah, it was. Now the question is, will that trigger a safety car or will it not? Willie dives into the pits to refuel. And Stolz does not slow down, so Stolz takes over the lead after Willie makes his pit stop and continues to run the race, so no VSC yet. Ooh, that was close.
Ryder's made his way up to 3rd.
And so Ryder's in 3rd, fighting with Toasty at the moment, although Ryder is running on fumes and will likely have to pit very soon, as will Toasty. Not quite yet, but he will have to make a pit stop before the race is over. I think Dutra is set to go to the end.
Yeah, I think around this point is when we're going to be seeing our drivers head in for the final stops of the race. Besides Dutra, of course, he looks pretty set. Ryder stays out.
Oh, Ryder is running on fumes. I think Ryder's confident that he'll make it towards the end, but I don't know. That's not a lot of fuel left in the car. Perhaps maybe it was a mistake to stay out. Maybe he didn't realize the level of fuel in the car. So Toasty now under attack by Dutra. Dutra there sticks his nose into Toasty's inside on turn 4 into the tunnel. They go side by side through the tunnel. Toasty still a little bit of ahead of Dutra. And turn 5 makes it so that Toasty stays in front of Dutra, but Dutra there very aggressive on the entrance of turn 4. As Ryder actually makes it around that lap and is able to pit, so crazy. He had 1% of fuel left.
I think that's the third instance of one fuel left coming into the pits that I've seen so far this race. It's crazy how close these Division 1 drivers get to the limit.
Yeah, and it's kind of a testament to their strategy, like optimization, right? They're running their fuel load to the very, very minimum amounts possible, so they're optimizing on weight in the car, which helps with saving the tires. Like they're purposely running it down to the very, very, very bottom of the fuel tank as much as possible.
Flying Disc said that we had a couple people going down to the limit there in the Division 2 race as well.
So Willie now stuck in a battle with Khan at the moment. Khan in a slightly different race at the moment because Khan still needs to make a pit stop. And Willie is finding himself battling Khan at the moment and potentially losing time out to Stolz, who he has really got his eyes set on. So that could have been detrimental potentially to Willie's battle against Stolz. So previously, Stolz was around, I think it was 20 seconds or so in front of Willie last time around. And now Willie is 24 seconds behind Stolz. So next time Stolz makes his pit stop, I think they're actually going to be much closer than they were last time when Stolz exited the pit. So we're going to have a really tight race towards the end of... We're going to have a really close race to the end of this race between Stolz and Willie, the two Reese's Pieces cars. And it all comes down to when Stolz pits and if they can maintain his pace with the amount of fuel and tires he has left.
Looks like Toasty went into the pits. Seems like he might be out of it for the race then. 7 to go.
Yeah, so let's take a look. So Dutra still needs to make a pit stop, I think. Or no, maybe Dutra doesn't have to make his pit stop, but he will be very, very slow on those worn tires towards the end of the race. Khan needs to make a pit stop still. Looks like Harm's Way is ready to go to the end of the race. And Zoo Coast is good to go. Ryder, yeah, so Toasty is pretty much a net 8, depending on how fast Dutra falls through the field towards the closing laps of the race. But he does have a new set. And Stolz jumps into the pits. So Stolz jumps into the pits and he just gets a quick set of tires. Barely needs any fuel. But you see Willie there just behind Stolz. Only... Oh my god, this is so close. Oh, so he bumps into him. Oh no,
Ooh.
and Willie picks up damage there. Oh man. I wonder what happened there. That's an unfortunate way to end this battle between Willie and Stolz. It's certainly going to slow down Willie a lot these last 6 laps. Take a look. Oh, looks like Willie was looking to take the inside there and Stolz closed the door. Oh man. That's rough. So Harm's Way currently sitting in 7th place at the moment. Willie decides to take a pit stop and fix the damage on his front bumper. Beto is currently sitting in 8th place. Zoo Coast in 9th. Anthony Colazzo in 10th place. We got Ryan Higgins in 11th. Dinosaur in 12th. Kip in 13th. And D. Slov in 14th.
Ryder, after his pit stop around lap 40, he's finally back in the top 3. Could be an exciting race for him in these last 5 laps.
So Ryder right now struggling to keep it in front of Toasty. Toasty very hungry for that podium finish. And Willie also will be hungry for it as well. So Willie is only 2 seconds behind Toasty with a fresh set of tires to the end. So Willie will be able to make up a lot of time. I think Willie will still be able to potentially finish in the podium positions, but won't be in contention for the race lead anymore. So Toasty takes the inside, going side by side down turn 1 with Ryder, and makes the pass easy going into turn 2.
Yeah, Willie's those fresh tires. Drop Reese's, he's the Cookie Monster trying to eat his way up to the top 3.
So Stolz is caught up to Dutra, and Dutra now is going to have to fight for his life on dead tires against Stolz, who has fresh tires. I think Stolz will be able to make the pass pretty easily on Dutra coming down the front straight with the slipstream. Yep, he takes the inside, and they go side by side, crossing the start-finish line, but they're coming up against traffic, and maybe, no, so it looks like it's pretty clean. Stolz jumps in front and takes the race lead from Dutra. Oh, but
Okay, they just
Stolz,
both passed
yeah.
Kato.
For a second there, I thought Stolz had maybe made too much contact with the wall before it into turn 2, and gave Dutra the opportunity to retake the lead, but Stolz still sitting comfortably in the lead at the moment. Okay, so Willie, I think we just missed it. So Willie made a pass on Ryder. So actually they're going side by side. Willie takes the lead into turn 3. Now they're side by side into turn 4. Oh my God.
It's tight.
Willie
Looks
makes
like it
contact
sticks,
with the
though.
wall on the exit and maybe loses a little bit of potential exit speed there, but enough to keep it in front of Ryder. I think Ryder's still struggling. Also, Ryder has damage. Ryder has damage on the front right and completely worn tires, so he'll have a rough time keeping it in front. And now he's got Khan behind him, willing to take that 5th position off of Ryder down the front straight, and also looking to battle against Willie as well for that top 5 position. Top 4, I should say. So Dutra falling a little bit behind Stolz. Toasty kind of in a no man's land at the moment. And then now we have Willie and Khan fighting for 4th place. Willie finding himself fighting for 4th after an unfortunate incident with Stolz. This is certainly one of the more intense races that we've seen so far at LRC. So we're at the penultimate lap. Khan is chasing down Willie for that 4th position. I think the rest of our drivers right now are relatively spread out in their top 3. So Willie has a tire advantage on Khan, but Khan is very hungry and looking for any opportunity to force Willie to make a mistake.
I know with the headlights and the rearview mirrors, it was throwing some people off during the Division 2 race.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Totally my make some leading drivers a little bit more anxious if someone's close behind them.
So Stoles is currently on the final lap at the moment. It's been an epic drive by Stoles from getting second to pole position, second for the qualifying. It's unfortunate that Willie had that damage on the exit when Stoles was leaving the pit exit. It would have been a really close race between the two. But this man, Stoles, comes out on top with strategy and makes it work. Coming around turn 6 for one final time. Oh, it looks like there's an incident there. Oh, thank God Stoles did not crash into that guy, whoever that was. So congratulations to Stoles for the win at round 2, the high-speed ring here. Dutra comes in second. And there we go, Toasty. Actually, Willie made it up to where Toasty is, and Toasty is struggling to keep it in front of Willie. Willie makes a pass outside of Willie, or sorry, out of Toasty, out of turn 6. And then Khan misses out on potentially getting 4th place and even the 3rd position. So Willie makes a good recovery drive there, finishing in 3rd place. Harmsway in 6th. Ryder in 7th. Zukas crosses the line in 8th. And then we got Anthony Colazzo finishing up in 9th. That finishes up everyone else. I think Beto, Ryan Higgins, Dinosaur in 12th. Kip in 13th. D-Slove in 14th. Yeah, out of nowhere, Willie just ends up in 3rd place and caught up to Toasty like, I don't know, it was maybe like 4 seconds in that lap. So crazy finish. Ooh.
Yeah, Stoles with that alternate strategy there at the end. Keeping it clean all race, he made it through.
All right, so that was quite an intense race there. So that's High Speed Ring, round 2 of season 3 of the league. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Orwick, for joining me on stream. Any closing remarks?
Can't say anyone saw how that was going to turn out. There for about the first little bit of the race, I definitely didn't have Stoles on my radar up until the end, but his alternate strategy surprised me for sure, but pulled through, stayed consistent, and got the win.
Yeah, I think it would have been really close between him and Willie. I think Willie on the other strategy without that damage would have been a really tight battle towards the end. I think both of them. I think Willie would have been at a disadvantage because he'd been out on the track a little bit longer. It would have more tire wear. So it's possible that Stoles might have taken the win anyway, but it's tricky because at that moment Willie had much more speed. He would have been able to overtake Stoles on the straight and get that track position. So he would have been able to defend at least and cause Stoles to spend more of his tires trying to pass Willie. So I think it would have been a really interesting race if that damage didn't happen. It's unfortunate that we didn't get to see that. But we have 4 more rounds to go, I think. So there's plenty of races to continue this battle between Willie and Stoles and all of our top drivers. Once again, thank you, Orwick, for joining us. And then for those who had joined us and are new to LRC, click on the invite link that's pinned on chat to join us. You could either sub in for people during the races in the league or join us for our other events. We have events anywhere between 3 to 4 events a week. So feel free to join us there. And with that, we will leave you to it. We'll be back next week on Tuesday for round 3. I believe let me check. We'll be at Blue Moon Bay, the oval. So the tri-oval at Blue Moon Bay. All right. Thank you, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for having me.